So this is stupid leftist thinking on display in our political dynamic. It's the many leftist reporters who are whining that there's no prominent black candidate in the race anymore. That came after Cory Booker decided to drop out last week. All right, to their great credit, Democrat voters on their own decide which candidates, white or black, they prefer in polls. Good. And it just so happens that 6 white guys have gotten more attention, and women too, than a not so good campaigner, Cory Booker, and a totally bad campaigner, Kamala Harris. Deval Patrick, who got into the race late, still in. We'll see what happens. But it is incredibly condescending to assume, this is what white liberals do, that black people vote according to skin color, okay? They are bright enough to vote according to what is best. What is best is almost certainly not the policies of the leading Democrats in the race. You want to know who has the interest of black voters? What Democrat has the interest of black voters more than any other? You're looking at him. It is only Mark Stewart who wants to revamp totally urban schools. They're the ones who keep kids down. Who's the one? That would be I, who wants to make sure that immigrants aren't taking blacks' jobs? Who's the one to make sure that youthful employment stays robust instead of gets slashed by artificially raising the wages of everybody else who does have a job and keeps people on the lower rung from getting that first job? That too would be I, Mark Stewart. Who's the one who would abolish Social Security, make it choice? It's right now imposed, and it hurts African Americans more than anyone else. The most regressive tax, and because of life expectancy differences, blacks get negative return, negative, on the dollars that they put in during their working life. Finally, who's the one candidate who would pardon everybody imprisoned for non-violent drug crimes? All they're doing is selling or using, and they're being put away in the system, the prison industrial system, some people call it, okay? Nobody that you saw on stage the last few times is willing to undo that. It takes an outsider, one who's not steeped in Democrat politics, one who's not tied to interests, including prison interests, where they actually have paid politicians on both sides to be using the system that keeps people down. It does take an outsider, and here's one on the ballot in several states now, and eager to make sure that African Americans realize they really do have an ally. And it's not because of skin color. It's because of interests shared by whites, blacks, Latinos, Asians, who are in the situation that the left doesn't really care about. They take blacks for granted. You generally vote Democrat, but their interests, once elected, do not help African Americans. Please look at StewartForLiberty.com. You have an ally, and even though I'm not going to get the Democrats' nomination, you have a way, you have a precious vote, a way to force people to really look at issues for the rest of this year and hopefully beyond. A nice little blip in one of these primaries says, we need better candidates. And I am all favor of a Democrat that comes out of none of those who are on stage now, and a nominee who really has black interest at mind. That might be Oprah, okay? That might be Michelle Obama. Better, I believe, than any of the candidates you see here, but not because of their skin color. And that's, I think, Jon Stewart, I think Mark Cuban, I think there's several former governors who would do a very good job for all Americans who are getting disadvantaged by federal and state governments. Martin Luther King was a forceful advocate for blacks and against state governments, the southern ones that had repressed blacks, put them into segregated place in society. Government does more damage to people's lives than any other force. We can change that. I'm a small d Democrat and a libertarian. At the same time, on the ballot in Vermont, I'm on the ballot in New Hampshire too. Please take a look.